I was a little girl, about probably 5 or 6, I went up to the post office in town to get the mail, and everybody was all excited, putting their arms up in the air and saying, "Lindy, Lindy, Lindy." Do you know who this Lindy was?
The president?
Lindbergh. He flew across the Atlantic Ocean in a plane all by himself and landed in Paris. And I heard that excitement. And then for Heather, I want to know if you know about a very early election, quite early. My dad, we didn't have television, it hadn't been invented, and Dad went out in the street and hailed somebody. He said, "Who won?" He was interested in who won the election. It was Al Smith and Herbert Hoover, and of course Herbert Hoover won. Now, we moved, that was when we were living in Wakefield, New Hampshire, and we moved from there down to the farm. It was a 200-acre farm that Dad, well, it was kind of like handed down to him from his father, you know. And so when I was there, I went to a one-room country school, and it had all the grades, and it was, the teacher was very strict, and sometimes grades were missing, but she taught all those that came. And so at that point in time, my mother asked me if I would like to have a birthday party, and that's something I never had before. And so I wanted to have one, and I wanted my cousin Ruth to come. So she came and spent the day with me, and we wanted to have a strawberry shortcake. Well, in those days, you didn't get out and have some nice commercial strawberries. You had little strawberries about this big, wild ones. You had to go out and pick the wild strawberries and take the hulls off, and that took a long time to pick enough for a shortcake. But my mother made a shortcake, and it was made with like a biscuit, not this cakey type.
How old were you then?
There was always plenty of work for us there. I remember my brother and I, we had to help Dad down to the barn, but Liddy had a job, and she was supposed to feed the hens and collect the eggs. That was her job. Now, my mother did spend time teaching us how to, teaching me rather, how to sew, and she was very fussy about it. It had to be just exactly right, and if it wasn't, we could take it out and do it over, do it right. So I learned to make clothes, and that came in handy. Well, she was taken ill and had to go to the hospital for several months and weeks, and it turned into months because she came home to recuperate with Aunt Edna. Now, my aunt was my dad's sister who lived not too far away, and Alice was a baby at that time, and so she took Alice to her home, although she already had a girl in college, Ruth, and I had to go to Rochester to work for my room and board. And Paul stayed with my father on the farm, and Liddy went down to live with my Aunt Nora, and she was there for several months. So finally she came back home, and I graduated from high school eventually, and my parents wanted me to go to college. Well, I went, but I went penniless. I did not have a nickel to my name. And we went down there, I went down there, and I got jobs. And you know what my first job paid, Max?
What?
18 cents an hour. I was working in the kitchen for 18 cents an hour. And they found out I could cook, so they put me in the bakery, and I got 20 cents an hour. So I worked about twice as much as I had time for studies. And I did get very discouraged because I wanted to study and to do well, but I just did the best I could because I had to work a lot. So I got discouraged and I came home, and then I met Lehman, and we went together for a few months and got married. And I wanted to have a wedding dress, but I didn't have any money. So I went to work for a man that lived nearby that had a big orchard. And I picked apples and earned $7 for picking apples. And that $7 bought the cloth so I could make my dress, my wedding dress. And Lydia was the one that was standing for me at that time. Now, let's see, when the children were in grade school, I heard an ad on the radio about a work, some work that was needed, and it was for a teacher. And I thought, well, my schooling had been in home economics, so I went to the superintendent and applied for the job, and he said, well, we don't need anybody for home economics. What we need is an elementary teacher. So I said, well, okay. He gave me the choice, and I chose fourth grade, which I was always happy with. I liked the fourth grade level. And the education continued while I was teaching Haley. I had to teach and go to school, these classes, you know, given in the summer, and extension courses out of New Hampshire University and Boston University, until finally I finished my education, and but I was putting my own children in a Christian school, and it was grades 1 through 16. And so eventually, when I was about through, and I guess you and Wayne and Nancy were at least high school age.
I was in college. I was in college.
Yeah, you were getting your RN that summer.
I got my RN and she got her DS.
Kathy and her sister Tricia came to my graduation, and they saw me graduate, and I was very happy to have made it finally. And I retired after 25 years of teaching in Northampton Elementary School, and I worked 15 seasons at Strawberry Bank in Portsmouth. And if you ever get a chance to take the kids to Strawberry Bank, that is a good place. The houses at Strawberry Bank were old, and the oldest one was 1695, and the newest one was owned by a former governor. It was built in 1811, and it was in the center of town, and they had to divide it in parts and bring it. Horses drew it to the place where they set it up at Strawberry Bank. And I can't remember that governor's name right now, but it was, I guess if anybody wanted to...
Mom, was it Winthrop?
What?
Was it Winthrop?
The governor, was Governor Winthrop or Governor?
Governor Winthrop? No.
Bradford? Way before that.
Bradford?
Governor Goodwin. That's what they
Goodwin.
said,
Oh,
yeah.
the Goodwin mansion.
So anyway, all of my working days were towards, I really and truly wanted my kids to be in Christian school, and that was my object, and that's why I worked as hard as I could and as long as I could to keep them in Christian school, and I'm glad to this day that I did that.